And with North Korean troops believed poised for combat on Russia's side against Ukraine, North Korean leader Kim Jong Un has called on his military to improve its fighting capabilities to prepare for war. North Korean media says Kim made the remarks at a meeting of battalion commanders in Pyongyang on Friday, calling for a limitless expansion of his nuclear program to counter the threat from the United States. He said threats from the US and its allies, including South Korea, have brought tensions to what he called the worst phase in history.
Yeah, I think what we are seeing is a really concerning development. The tensions have been building up for quite some time now, and the speed with which the tensions have been building up is really very alarming. So we come from a time when North Korea has been sending balloons filled with trash over to the border to South Korea. Then there were a lot of rhetoric threats, mainly directed against South Korea, not so much towards the US, but really against South Korea. And then we have North Korea sending more than 10,000 troops and heavy weapons to Russia to get basically combat experience in fighting against Ukraine. That is very concerning for South Korea, because the question is, what will North Korea get in return? One theory is that they will get military technology by Russia. Then this Friday we had North Korean leader Kim Jong Un calling for mass production of suicide drones. So exactly the worst case scenario from the perspective of Seoul. That is really alarming. And then today Kim Jong Un has called its army to complete its preparation for war. I mean, what could be the next step? If you look at it from a bird's eye perspective, then the escalation spiral is continuing, and we are really at a very dangerous point right now.
And what has South Korea's reaction been to all of this?
Yeah, so the South Korean government today has been relatively calm, and that has a very trivial reason. The president right now is in Peru for the APEC summit, and he's meeting other leaders there. So basically he's lobbying in all his meetings that he has, for example, with the Chinese side, with the US side, to create awareness and to basically put a lot of focus towards North Korea and try to contain the militarization of North Korea. But you also have to see that here the public in South Korea is not so concerned. They are basically business as usual. They think that Kim Jong Un is, like a dog that always bites but never barks, because they have been living with this threat by North Korea for several decades now. But still, that doesn't really help also for South Korea to build up the awareness that there is really a danger building up just a couple of miles north from here.
You talked earlier, Fabian, about North Korean soldiers being sent to fight with Russian soldiers in Ukraine. What options are open to South Korea and its partners to counter this new entente, this new level of cooperation between North Korea and Russia?
Yeah, what can South Korea do? I would say that the only country that has enough leverage to directly influence North Korea from stopping this is potentially China, and China doesn't seem to be willing to do much on this matter. So what South Korea is doing is they consider on how to cooperate stronger with the Ukraine to, for example, send observers, that if you have North Korean soldiers on the battlefield who want to defect or who are getting caught, then they can help, with translation. They can debrief the soldiers. They can also provide intelligence information. They do that. And then, of course, there's the question whether South Korea will send direct weapons to Ukraine. So far, South Korea has been quite cautious, but now that is exactly on the table. A decision has not been made yet, but this is exactly what South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol is debating. But let me also tell you, within South Korea, within the public, that is not a very popular decision. Actually, most South Korean, the majority, actually wants to stay out of this conflict because they're afraid that, this might just drag the country into a war that is perceived as quite far away from South Korea. So Yoon Suk-yeol really faces some very tough decisions in the coming days and weeks.
Fabian Kretschmer in Seoul. Fabian, thank you so much for that.